Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm super excited to have Wahab Algarmi with us, a wonderful creator, cartoonist, and graphic novelist. I'm going to share my screen and then I will have him introduce himself. Again, I'm super pumped to have him interview him for the Oakland Creates Art Makers series. Let's see. Can you see the slides? So go
Yep.
ahead and introduce yourself.
Like Avi said, my name is Wahab Algarmi. I am a cartoonist, artist, longtime I'm Oakland resident, proud father,
Nice.
everyman. I'm the everyman. Yeah, I just had my first debut graphic novel published by Harper Alley this earlier this year. It's called Almost Sunset. It's about my son and his just his life as a middle school kid trying to make it through the day. On top of that, we're also Muslim, so it's him trying to do everything a regular kid does while fasting for the month of Ramadan.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's been doing really great, so I'm super happy about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So again, the book is Almost Sunset. And I always like to typically jump in to some of the artwork and some of the choices you make. I really love how it's very straightforward, and my comics are always so complicated. I like a lot of cross-hatching and details, but your has more, I want to say almost a who's the creator I'm thinking of? The guy who does Doonesbury sort. I don't remember his name.
Oh, it escapes me right at the moment, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so it has that kind of comic strip feel, but it's in a graphic novel. Can you talk about why you decided to use that type of line work?
Sure. I think I gravitate more towards that. I have a lot of different styles. So I also do like maybe you've seen them, some like house drawings or building drawings in Oakland.
Right.
And those have a lot more, hatching. I wouldn't say cross hatching, but some hatching work, like a finer incline. Um, I grew up on like comic strips, so if you see any kind of similarities to like Doonesbury or any other strips that are out there,
Yeah,
uh,
that's what it is.
it's probably subconscious. And then also just some of my favorite artists are more this type of artist where they're more blocky rather than crosshatchy. Not to say
Yeah.
that I don't enjoy the crosshatching. It's just that I gravitate more to this. So when my friends were like at the peak of like superhero comics in the '90s, and everybody was like, really loving Jim Lee, I was more interested in artists that were a little bit blockier, a little bit more traditional, like I don't know, things that I grew up with, like artist Mike Manley or his buddy Brett Blevins, which were more
Uh,
solid looking.
and I just looked it up. It's Gary Trudeau who does Doonesbury.
Okay.
Yeah. And so just a couple pages. And you did this. Is this a self-portrait that you drew as well?
Yeah, I did that. They wanted a little bio, so I made that up.
That's really cool. And you
Uh,
talked about the book being about middle school. Were you aiming more as that is for your audience, or was it just, just happenstance that that was the age group that where your son was at?
um, I think a little bit of both. So he was at that age when I started the book, and then also I think they wanted it as a YA book, and then when they actually got it, they're like, this skews just a little bit younger, which I was okay with. So that was fine. So this is like, they have young adult, and then they have like middle age reader, and I
Right.
think technically, for marketing or whatever, it's a middle grade reader.
And
Um,
who's publishing?
Harper Alley,
Oh,
uh, the comics side of like Harper Collins.
nice. So let's jump into the interview questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can see your lovely face. So where
Okay.
did you grow up? You say you live in Oakland now, but where did you grow up?
I grew up in Oakland. I'm an Oakland native. Technically I was born in Alta Bates in Berkeley, but that's because I was like born and raised in North Oakland.
Okay.
Uh, I grew up there until like I was like around 10. Then we moved to the suburbs of Pinole, and then sometime in college we moved back to Oakland.
Wow.
So I left before it made me too hard, and then I left Pinole before it made me too soft. I feel like I'm right. I feel like I'm right in the middle somewhere for the better part of my life. So
Did
thankful.
Did you go to high school in Pinole, or where did you
I
go to
did.
high school?
I did. I went to junior high and high school in Pinole. What was really nice is like in junior high, there was this class that I had that was a cartooning class, and it was run by this teacher. His name is Scott Nichols, and I just found him on Facebook, and I told him thanks. It was really
Oh,
nice reconnecting with him. Yeah, so that was really cool. So in that class, like he would make us do these activities like drawing over like old Looney Tune cartoons or Tom and Jerry. He would give us like the model sheets for those characters and how to draw them. He would
nice.
talk about like comic books and like what came out this week or whatnot. So that really like fueled my passion for everything that I do, and it
It's
was
a
a
sweet,
yeah.
sweet full circle moment there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I did. I went to Pinole High School, Pinole Valley High School. Met some lifelong friends there. Everybody's been really nice when Almost Sunset came out. I know social media can be such a cesspool, but I will say this: like publishing that book was really nice, reconnecting with people, and having friends from high school go out and grab it was really really sweet and unexpected. So that was nice because
Right,
everybody knows, when I was in high school, they were like, "Oh, that's the guy that used to draw all the time."
right. Yeah,
So
that's cool.
it's nice.
Yeah, we were rivals against Pinole Valley. I went to Richmond High.
Uh, no, we were cool with you guys. I remember it was always the private school. What was it, Deanza? That
Yeah,
was
Deanza.
yeah. Everybody
Well,
hated Deanza.
everybody hates Deanza. Or what's the other one? There's a not Kennedy. There's like a not a private school, but a Catholic school that people hated. Was it St. Mary's? Or
I'm not
St.
sure.
Joseph's? One of those. St. Mary's or
Oh,
St. Joseph's.
St. Joseph's is I think that's the middle school. And they were like most people came from St. Joseph's, went to Pinole Valley. So I don't think it was St.
Mm,
Joseph unless it's another. I mean, that's probably like a typical name.
no, you're right. I think St. Mary's is the high school, and yeah, we nobody got along with them. They were like bougie.
Have you ever gone back to Richmond High to do any talks or anything?
No, but I did find out my mural that I painted in high school is still above the library.
Oh, nice. We
So
my friends and I did a mural in our high school as well. I don't think it's still there anymore because they demolished the whole high school and redid it. So I doubt it's still there. But
that's amazing. No, I went to Adams Middle School, and then to El Cerrito for 2 years, and then Richmond High for the last 2 years. So,
okay.
so, so you say you are started drawing. You're known for being an artist. Was there something that happened when you were younger that kind of gave you the spark to become an artist, or make it a career?
I just always loved drawing. I remember even when I was a kid, I used to like to draw. The friends that I had in elementary school were the guys that were drawing. So we were always drawing and showing each other our drawings. The other kids would be looking at our drawing and be like, "Oh, that's so cool. That's dope," or all that good stuff. And then just carried over. And I loved cartoons, and I would wake up early. I'd be watching my He-Man and Woody Woodpecker before I go to school, and my mom's yelling at me like, "You got to get out of here! Go, walk your ass to school." Because back then we walked. It wasn't far. It was in North Oakland. It was the back streets of the neighborhoods. So she would be kicking me out in the morning, and then I would rush right home and watch He-Man, Woody Woodpecker, or whatever the afternoon block was, and rinse and repeat kind of deal with me. And then also the I just everything drawing, everything cartoony was always fantastic to me.
So did you go to any of the museums? I know one big staple for us in I think elementary school or junior high was to go to the Berkeley, UC Berkeley. Back then, I think it was a museum, but I think it's BAMFA now. The Pacific, what is it, the Film Archive? But it was combined with the museum, so that was a big field trip for us. And then the MoMA in San Francisco. Did you guys take those trips as well?
Uh, I'm trying to think. I don't think we ever did. There was like an art competition we did in Richmond at like one of the Richmond museums or something like that that
Hmm.
our school like took place in all the time. As far as art related field trips, I don't think so. We had a great art teacher though. He was really nice. He was really cool. Um, no, I don't think so. As a kid, when I was younger, like some of the teachers tried to push me, and I remember there was this like art program at Mosswood Park that they
Hmm.
enrolled me in. and that was really cool. I only went like a couple of times at most. I don't think my parents, like immigrant parents, they didn't really understand.
Right.
Like they're like, what the hell am I, bothering myself with at 8 in the morning to take this kid halfway across town, and so I only went a couple of times, but it was still such an important moment that one, my teachers noticed that I liked to draw and that I was good at it, and they were like, you should do this. And
Right.
then two, like a couple of times that I was there, the stuff that they were teaching was something that I'd never gotten before. Because in elementary school they don't really teach you art, it's more like crafts.
Yeah.
Let's like make a Santa Claus out of an apple and toothpicks and marshmallows, or whatever the teacher had in mind. We didn't have like an art class back in elementary school because I'm that old. But that place, was like, oh, we're gonna take objects and we're gonna draw it in lighting and shadow and core shadow and
Nice.
yeah, and I still remember that. But like I said, it was only a couple of times. But that I think is like the earliest thing that I remember about like art being pushed on me, through school. And then in high school, it was more of just community and like let's work together and let's build stuff together and like put a mural up in the school and let's
Right.
do shows and stuff like that, and take it seriously. Like our teacher, he took art seriously, maybe to his own detriment because of what he expected out of us or whatever, but it was
So did,
all
so did your parents? I mean, my grandmother took me to every museum and all the galleries. And did
no.
your parents ever take you to museums or art galleries?
No, no. Like I said, my parents didn't even understand what that art program was at Mosswood, but I just think that's just culturally where they were coming from. It was a whole different thing, and I still don't think they 100% you know understand me and what I do, but they'll listen to me and they'll be I'll tell them, okay, I'm doing this, this, and they'll be like, okay, well, good luck, God bless you. Yeah. But
So now that your graphic novel has been published, do you think that I know initially you was it superheroes? I know there was another series of zines or comics that you were doing.
the society.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
think your audience is now shifted to middle-aged school? Like how has your audience changed for you?
My audience has changed for me. I don't know. I don't know if I ever chased an audience. It was more
Mm.
like do what you're gonna do. I loved Society, and that book, just to recap, is like it was a parody of another comic that I loved. I was in college and I was in a sci-fi and fantasy class, and we were reading like all these short stories. It was like Victorian age, like Invisible Man, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde,
Right,
and then like around that same time, Alan Moore put out this book called The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and
right.
it was like this superhero group of all these Victorian era characters. And I just, I was like, oh man, this is so cool. And then I did a parody of it with TV characters. So it was like all the characters that I grew up with watching TV in the 80s. So it was like Punky Brewster, Evie Garland, Wednesday Adams. So the way Wednesday is in her TV show is kind of like how I did her in my comic. I don't think they stole the idea from me, but and then Vicky the Robot, if you remember any of those characters. So
I do.
together, yeah, so together they're all like a government team and they're trying to fight communism in the 80s. And then I take us through like this 80s kind of history as the story goes along.
See, I
Um,
feel like that might be just a little bit more sophisticated than what your audience would be, into now. So that's what I mean. Like, has
I never worried about my audience. So that one was like, I want this is fun. And then I had some friends that really loved it and they came along for the ride. I ended up writing it and some friends did the artwork for that. But before that, like even before you met me, I did this like 6 or 7 issue series about my real life best friend and just his goofy antics in life, and I turned him into a superhero. He ended up there was this funny story with me and my friends. He saved his girlfriend at the time,
hmm,
pushed her out of the way of a moving car, like a car was about to hit her.
whoa.
Yeah, and then he had to do surgery and all this stuff. It was crazy.
But he
So
got hit by the car?
he got hit. Yeah, he got hit. So he had to do like back therapy or something. So I took all that and I spun it into like this superhero yarn, and I went 6 issues with it. That story was for nobody. It was it was like nobody knows who my best friend is. Nobody knows the story behind all that. And I just I just put people that I know from real life into the book. It was this wild amalgam of my life and his life. It was the weirdest thing, but I was like, I'll do it. Why not? Have
Yeah.
fun.
I mean, I kind of initially started my comic that way too. Like it's just purely for fun for me and people like you said they went along on the ride and that's always great. So,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
and then that's how everything else is too. So like with society, I was like, oh, I don't know if anybody knows who Evie Garland is, but she's going to be a main character in my book.
yeah,
The same thing with Almost Sunset. Almost Sunset, there's like a whole chapter dedicated to where my parents come from, and I've never seen Yemeni representation in any. I've barely ever seen like maybe just a little bit in American entertainment. So I was like, oh, I can do a whole chapter on this.
they're from
You
Yemen.
Yeah, yeah, my parents are from Yemen, so I was born and raised here, but they're from Yemen, and then I just, I did everything I could to represent, where my parents are from, and just had a blast with it. And it's for me mostly, it's like, all right,
I feel like if we enjoy whatever we're drawing or writing about, that is contagious and the audience is gonna feel that, energetically. So I mean that's really what it's all about. And you have to be the first critic and you have to entertain yourself first, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. All that stuff is very true of how I work, whether it worked or not with other people when they saw it. I'm just like, oh well.
So, do you feel like, since you've done different types of comics, is there a different type of creative outlet that you would love to explore? Like, just even a different genre altogether, like music or acting or dance or photography. Is there something else that creatively, like, that you might want to try?
I didn't think of it like in the broader spectrum of art. I don't know. I was thinking in the lines of like sculpting,
Hmm.
more than anything, or 3D sculpting, 3D
Wow.
printing, that kind of like new technology. Yeah, other than that, like theater, dance. Theater sounds fun. I don't think I'm any good at it. I don't think I'm good at dance either. But I am a goofball, so I wouldn't mind to be put in that kind of a spotlight. But yeah, I think sculpting more than anything.
Yeah, I'm super intimidated by any 3D type of sculpture, ceramics. So, yeah, that would be probably the last thing that I would feel comfortable
I
in.
think for me the barrier is like the cost still, like the equipment and all that. And yeah.
I mean, you could just, I think, go to classes, right? And then they provide some of that stuff too.
Maybe, maybe.
So, if you could, thinking of yourself as a younger artist or maybe upcoming artist, if there's something you could tell them, words of encouragement or something maybe that you would have said to yourself as a young artist, what would you tell them?
What would I tell them? Life gets better. If you feel like you're struggling, whether it's just life or like your artistic goals or career, however you want to put it. I think like what we were just talking about, where it's like, oh, I made this stuff for myself.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really true. Like, I at this point I'm like 47, and I don't know if I've gained success. Like
Mm,
I'm still just always second guessing myself. I'm like, oh, I have a book published.
right.
Does that mean I'll have another book published though? Does
Yeah.
that mean I'll ever, work again, or is it well received, or whatever? There's always a question, but I wouldn't have been at this moment if I ever gave up. Like
Right.
if you had never met me, right? If I'd stopped going to cons or whatever, or stopped making comics, who knows where I'd be. So I
Right.
would say if you're struggling, whatever your art path is, it doesn't have to be comics. If you love to paint and you're any good at it, like right, like even if you're just a smidgen good at something, just keep going. Trust the process and keep going with
No, that's real. That's
it. Yeah, if you and that's the thing too. Like a lot, like some I've been on like other conversations, and they're like, oh, how do you make comics, or like why do you keep making? It's like you really love it. I was with a group of other comic artists, and they're like, you really have to love the medium, and it's like you're passionate about it because it's a
yeah.
difficult medium to keep making. It's so many illustrations, and then there's the printing of it. It's like so many things combined in one. There's storytelling, there's writing. Oh my gosh, it's a lot, to do for a one person show. It's ridiculous.
It is, and it takes a while,